That was the first thing anybody heard.
Oh, are you
Good job,
guys?
Dave.
Are you guys okay?
All right,
So,
Matt, you
how
go
about
first. Wait,
this is what it sounds like when I talk, when Matthew talks. I am the dungeon master. I'm going to be talking probably more than everybody else. And so my voice alone is the one that Dwight probably wants to listen to and say if there's any sort of bad echo or if it's way too loud or if it's way too quiet. Things like that are going to be useful to us. Josh, you have a loud voice. Why don't you share with us like what that sounds like when you use it into the microphone?
Listen, kids, come with me and I'll take you on an epic tale across all known continents where hominids have spread of the tale of the relic Bigfoot hominid. It's an incredibly scientifically sound proposition backed up by actual peer-reviewed papers, but there's a great conspiracy to quash it. And if you listen to me, I will speak uninterruptedly into the hours.
This is insanely great. But I really want to hear what Dave has to say about it. Dave, is Bigfoot real? Sir Robert, what do you think about OBS? Is it a good program or is it fairly bad?
So far, I've enjoyed using it. I think they've done a pretty good job developing it. It does everything you'd want it to, and I think they're going to pretty soon change the license and start monetizing it directly and then offering open source the older versions. Just a guess.
That would be pretty clever because a lot of people and a whole entertainment industry is building itself on OBS right now.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how Dwight's doing. I wonder if he's going to tell us anything soon. Oh, is that him?
Hi. So, levels are all pretty good.
Is it possible for you to like turn up the gain on your mic or something? You're really muffly and quiet.
Sorry. No.
That's better.
So Robert, you have just a little bit of reverb. It's not terrible, but it sounds a little off, but levels are better this time.
Okay, I adjusted the levels, and I think my mic is picking up through my headphones, what my headphones are doing, even though the volume's not super loud.
So Robert, you know, if the cables are touching each other or next to each other, the sound can be transferred magnetically that way, even if they're cables.
You can make a sympathetic echo directly into the feed.
But it's real minor. It wasn't like Sir Robert sitting in a stone chapel or anything. It was just like you sounded different than everyone else, basically.
Okay.
Slightly.
Yeah, and that makes sense because it's a yeah. Based on the EM delay and the fuzz, that coincides. So
I would like to get rid of it if we could, but don't worry about it.
That might be, we can try. I think it'll be better this time than before. The cables are not specifically touching. However, I am using a one of these mics.
It looks awesome.
Yeah, it's good. But if the cables are touching, it's just because they're. I mean, or if they're too near, it's just because they both plug into the bottom of the mic.
I take you've got a setting on that allows you to change between all the three
it shouldn't do
receptors pointing in the same direction.
Wait, stop for a sec. Nobody say anything for a sec. I'm hearing like something like static or something.
Oh shoot, that might be my.
Oh yeah,
fan.
Dave, you've got your fan on. Go turn your fan off, Dave.
My bad. Forgot about that.
Oh, that's better.
Yeah, I don't hear anything. Okay, now nobody say anything for a second.
Now that's me.
And when I say your name, just say something for a second. Matt.
Hey, what's up, kids? I'm Matthew Talamini. Hello, welcome to the. We're having audio now. It's audio happening live. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold, and the Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold.
The levels are good and level across all of us, but I think it could come up a little bit. At least on Twitch, I had it set to like max volume, and it's quieter than what I'm hearing through Jitsi.
Okay, I just pulled it up. Give me a second here. Let's see. Test. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right, I just pulled it up about 15 decibels.
Okay, let me.
And it's peaking in the low reds.
And the northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake Labarge.
Yeah, it
I
sounds a little
cremated
better.
Sam McGee.
Okay,
You
I think I'm
cremated
good.
Sam McGee. Poor Sam.
Now,
Did you
Sam
hear
McGee was from Tennessee.
Hum just jump in
Yes.
just now
I
when I
hear
just
it.
started
Yes.
talking?
Yep.
Okay, that's the refrigerator in the room. Is it
Mm.
bad?
It's a whine I can hear, but it's not.
It's
I hear
audible.
like a sounds
not
like
terrible.
a cricket.
I think I can get away with unplugging it and plugging it back in.
Yes.
Don't open it.
I love you, Josh. All right, shall we start?
I, letter M, ready.
I letter AM put together as a word ready.
Guys, I'm so excited about this game. I'm about to explode.
I
Don't
don't.
explode.
Yeah, that'd be a mess.
Yeah, that'd be too much work for Dave.
I'm
Okay.
It's a lot of.
Well, for those of you
That's
who
the point.
are listening to this part, because it's been 3 years and none of us bothered to cut it, we are
Hi.
going to switch to our normal broadcasting mode, which will include pictures of all of us and especially Dwight.
All right, let's start. Are we ready?
I'm ready. Here we go in 5, 4, 3. We're on.
Hello and welcome to the Starfall Collective Season 2, King of the Cloudy Sea, a Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition adventure. I'm Matthew Talamini, your Dungeon Master. I am a writer and web developer based in Providence, Rhode Island, and you can find my stuff at MatthewTalamini.com. That's Matthew, TALAMINI.com. With me are some of my old college buddies, Sir Robert Burbridge playing Weatherin, an
Hey.
elven paladin of Oberon. Say hi so people know who you are. Tell them where they can find your stuff.
Hey, I am me here in this box, and you can find my stuff on thefarce.net, although there is now a light bit of content scattered on other places that claim to be thefarce.net and will pretty soon be actually linked. That's all.
That's a beautiful thing. David Farrell playing Tashash, or Gravy, a lizard folk ranger. Say hi so people know who you are and tell them where they can find your stuff.
Hi, I'm David, and I mean, really, who knows where I am? The last we saw me, I jumped over the side of a boat and disappeared. So I could be
That-
anywhere.
That wasn't you though.
And
Was it?
to
Was
clarify,
it not, Dwight? Was it not?
he's a lizard folk ranger, not a lizard folk ranger.
It's true.
Excellent point.
An important
Excellent point.
distinction.
Dwight
I've met one
Knoll
though.
playing Fennetir, an elven cleric of Pon. Say hi so people know who you are. Tell them if they can find your stuff.
Hi, and you will have to tell me if you find my stuff.
Joshua Such playing Malmer, an elven warlock of Chernobog. Say hi so people know who you are and tell them where they can find your stuff.
Hi, I'm Josh. You can find my stuff all over the internet at JSUICHJ and you can find me on the Starfall Collective subreddit. So you just Google the Starfall Collective, and that's the subreddit that you'll find. And you can talk to me there about fan theories and such.
Awesome. That sounds great. Let's get started. The kraken hunting vessel Fujin glides with a hushed, swishing sound along the top of the canopy of broad leaves and mist that makes up the cloudy sea. Because it's night and they are past the western edge of the world, the sun below lights up the levitating trees an eerie green. Weatherin, our paladin, looking down over the railing, sees for 1 second a pale gap in the leaves, where only a moment before his lizard folk companion Tashash had vanished overboard into the sea. The gap moves slowly sideways as the ship sails on and shrinks as the leaves resume their prior places. Weatherin,
Yeah.
you're standing here on the deck by the edge. He's gone overboard. You go back to bed?
Does my narrative of last time, is that what happens, or are we syncopating events?
No, you what happened last time was you actually jumped over the edge to
Yeah.
follow him as he asked you, but feeling the restraining hand of your god, Oberon,
Yeah. I took a
in
misty
your
step
heart,
back up.
you took a misty step back up onto the deck of the ship.
Yeah.
You took a misty step back. Oh, if only we could all get those.
He was and deeply conflicted about that because there are dark magics, and Gravy is a pretty undeceitful, straightforward sort of character as far as
Straight
Waithren can
shooter.
tell. And Waithren actually didn't mind the probability of death because he thinks that that is the road to success for this mission. To die.
Well, what do you do?
It's the middle of the night. Waithren is conflicted and somewhat emotional, not showing a lot of it, and stays up on deck for a little while in the near silence, and maybe for half an hour, just thinking about stuff. And eventually he will go back, and he was roused in the middle of his nighttime trance. He will make sure that when he has a few hours left, he'll get a full trance in, because I guess it's back to the path I was on.
Weatherin. I'm sorry. Fennetir.
Hey, don't worry, I get confused too. I thought you were talking to me, but then I was like, wait, nope, that's not me.
You
Boy,
were absolutely
I really wish
right.
I had hair.
You,
Sorry.
you discerned from my voice that I was talking to you, even
It's
though
true.
I said the wrong word.
Mm-hmm.
That's how simpatico we are.
Yep.
That's how few people we have in the party.
Mm-hmm.
Fennetir, you're awoken by a knock on your door. It's morning.
Again?
Light is coming in through the chinks in the wall and your sort of porthole, accidental porthole.
Is
It's
that
Sarah.
the hole left from when I was trying to repair things?
I think you've probably repaired it by now, so maybe I shouldn't say that you have an accidental porthole.
Hey, Sarah, what's up?
Fennetir, are you
Yep.
there? Are you awake?
Sure, yeah, I can be.
Why do you sleep so much? Come out
'Cause
here.
Pawn is a party god, man. I mean, lady. I'm out. I'm up. I'm moving.
So you open your door
Uh-huh.
and you find the second mate of the ship, Sarah, there.
How's it going, number 3?
She is a strong lady elf who is in charge of you guys.
Uh-huh.
And
She's been on our boat, right?
yes. Although she's not technically in charge of you, she does outrank you.
Everybody outranks
She
me.
says, "Where is Gravy? Have you seen him, Fennetir?"
Like breakfast gravy?
No, the scaly fellow with the
Did you bring me some breakfast?
frill. Do you remember the fellow with the frill? He's
Yeah, I remember him. He's a nervous little guy.
well, fairly large, I would say. But yes, did seem to have a nervous disposition, and if you recall, there was an incident earlier.
Yeah. Did you check the hold? All the dark corners of the low grav area?
The DM is frozen.
Ah,
The sheer terror of the prospect.
yeah, that's a lot of work for an imagination.
Mm-hmm.
Anymore.
Hey,
Oh,
you're
right, and you're back.
Oh, hey, frozen. I was frozen.
I said,
Do
did
you know
check
where he is?
You checked the last time when he was hiding out in the corner of the anti-gravity portion of the ship?
Yes, I've checked several places where that turd has hidden himself in the past.
Oh. Well, maybe we should get some breakfast and then we can think more clearly about how things work.
What I hear you saying is that on the one hand, you don't know where he is,
That's true.
and on the other hand, that you're a lazy glutton.
So people on this ship don't eat? They just hop out of bed and go straight to work and then fall asleep, and they just keep getting smaller and smaller until they get back to port, and we're supposed to fight this giant kraken without any calories in our gullets?
By the end of this tirade, you have been talking to the back of her head for a little while,
See you later.
she's gone.
I go searching for some sustenance.
Mal, you've been up for a while already with the rest of the sailors. You're working on something, some random chore, probably boat maintenance. There's a lot of that, or coiling ropes, or when Sarah approaches you, the lizard man, Tashashima Lashima Gravy.
Gravy, yes.
Do you know where he is? He's in your crew.
Mal looks like he just got like a slight hangover, migraine kind of thing for just a moment, and then he says, "I take it, how thorough of an investigation of the ship has been mounted to find him, and may I please take on personal responsibility for this?" And you can see blood is rising.
I have not yet alerted either of my superiors as to his absence.
Then would you please give me leave to take the rest of the shift, to search the ship to find him?
Go ahead. I have things to do.
Thank you. I will report back to you as soon as I know anything.
Thank you.
And Mal immediately makes a series of mental kind of checks to try to figure out what mental state has Tashash been in. Is he scared? Is he tired? Is he hungry? So right now, Mal's probably trying to figure out whether he's going to go, crawling around in poo, or go lash himself to the underside of the boat and look for him down there. So I think I'm just going to roll straight odds evens.
Why are there giant amounts of poo on the boat?
Because the last time Tashash hid really, really well, it was deep in the bowels of the ship, quite literally.
But why don't we poop over the side?
Yeah, you do. But there is a little bit of filth in the bilge. The bilge is not clean.
That it goes down, right?
Near the front part of the ship, yeah.
Right.
In the hold.
I mean, usually
It's
ships
just a hole in the
literally
bottom.
poop over the side.
Mal decides to just kind of peek there, but not necessarily try to dig all the way down in there. He's looking for like fresh claw marks, fresh slide marks from his tail or his belly or something like that. So can I make a survival check to see if I notice a fresh sign of him here?
Perception.
Okay. That's a 12 plus 3 is 15.
You find no new signs of him.
Okay, so I go and I grab some rope and I get some rigging that I can use to make kind of a block and tackle with a little pulley thing so that I can pull myself further or closer from the ship, and I run a line below the belly of the ship and I make just a big loop so I can kind of pull myself across and look for him.
When you're the harpooner of the boat, and you're sort of second below Sarah in rank. You're very responsible, and you kind of keep track of where your people are.
Yeah.
And so you notice Mal is like getting all this rope and getting all this stuff together and like setting up this rigging.
Yeah. I probably would pretty soon in the morning try to find Sarah, not wake her up or anything, but just try to find her and tell her, or at least be looking out for her and be willing to tell. It's not like I think Watherin doesn't think it's super urgent because he basically thinks it's impossible to find him. To find Gravy.
Well, yeah, you can find Sarah at any point. At the point where you're able to find her, she's already talked to Fennetir and Mal is doing this part of his search.
Cool. I probably would not interfere with Mal, mostly because I try to keep about 10 feet away. You know.
And Mal is like muttering to himself and is, you can see him every now and then just kind of like.
So having just started,
like acting like him, trying to get into his head.
Yeah. So having just started my shift and seeing that this morning crew is awake, I'm gonna go find Sarah.
Okay. You do find her. She's she's taking some what's it called when you measure the speed of the boat? She she throws like a thing out that lands on the
a draft line.
Yeah,
you've got a little light anchor, and then you let it uncurl, and you check the
leaves,
knots
and then
by.
you see how many knots go by in a minute, and then you pull it back. And so she's taking the speed of the boat this morning to so that the captain can update his logs.
Okay. I just say, Sarah, can I talk to you for a moment?
Yes, is this about the lizard man?
This is about the lizard man. I had a strange experience last night. I was in the middle of my trance, and he came and found me and asked me to follow him. And so I said, sure. And I followed him up to the deck. And long story short, he asked me if I wanted to jump off the boat with him. And I said no. And then he jumped off by himself. And... And
succinct.
I had
Irrationally.
And he was gone. I have no idea where we were. I don't know what time it was. It all happened really fast. And I doubt there's any chance to find him, so telling you now the first chance I got when I saw you.
He is he's one of those sort of
free spirits.
Well, first of all, she puts her hand on your shoulder. Sympathetically, she says, I think I understand why you didn't yell man overboard. But then she says, no, but seriously, he has a high degree of lizard folk ranger craft. When one of them doesn't want to be found, it's nearly impossible. Even some magical abilities, if I remember correctly. So
he definitely disappeared. I looked over the edge, and he was gone before he hit the cloud line. Before he made himself invisible in some way, and honestly, he was very clear he was not going to be found. And who can understand the Arrow? What goes on in their minds?
The Arrow are certainly. I mean, I've read some articles about how they're all insane. So this is not surprising to me at all. I'm not that far right wing, but this is an easy story to tell the captain. I don't think any of us will get in trouble. The madness sometimes happens, and I think it'll be okay. It's a big loss. He was quite handy with that spear and vicious in the fight. I admired that viciousness.
He was skilled, and now he's dead or not.
She turns and says, can you take 2 more of these, and you know what to do. Finish the sounding. I've already taken the one. And she tells you what progress she's made in this task, knowing that you have the skills to finish it properly.
Sure.
She says, I'll go and inform the captain. She heads to the captain's quarters.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you walk into a promotion. I think, Sir Robert, I think your character just got like a new job on the ship just by being competent
That's
in the sea of
actually
fools.
true in
What?
life in general.
Fennetir,
Yes. Have I
after
found any
Sarah,
food yet?
yes,
Mm,
you're breakfasting heartily.
chowing down on that food.
Late, it's leftovers, but I mean,
Dude.
on this ship, everything's leftovers.
I actually have
Or
a spell for that, but it's not equipped. It's called like make food good.
Prestidigitation, it's called.
yes, that is the only thing that we ever use prestidigitation for in these Dungeons and Dragons games.
Purify food and drink. That's what it's called.
Oh, you are a useful one to have on board a ship.
Mm-hmm.
The food needs to get purified.
I can
Pretty
also
regularly.
create or destroy water.
Oh man.
Destroy water on a ship.
Somebody's peeing, like he starts peeing, and the captain walks up to him, and he like quickly, like the pee just disappears into midair. It's just gone. It's like a pawn party, trick.
Wow, I didn't know that you. I mean, I guess I should have looked it up, but you're more useful than I thought on board this ship. Are you using those spells regularly as to like help the ship along?
Nobody's asked me to, but
They don't know what you could do.
I've been doing all sorts of stuff. I haven't been activating them because I just assumed that they were providing good food and drink.
He's doing a lot of tile mending.
Yeah, you need those tiles.
That's true. You are mending little things as you go. That's noticed.
But
well, the food is getting slowly worse, and the water as well is slowly getting. It's the fresh water from back on land is slowly getting replaced by sort of tarry tasting rainwater and stuff. Collected
maybe
from
tomorrow I will start heading into the galley and
never put off till today what you can do tomorrow.
Well,
exactly.
You can only change your spells in the morning, and it's after that.
So as you're eating, a sailor sort of slides up next to you, right? He kind of hunkers down by where you're eating.
What does he look like?
This is an elf with a sort of black goatee. Sort of a thin beard and a black goatee, and you can imagine him looking a bit like Jafar from Aladdin, and he's a sailor named Aku. He says to you, "We're friends, right?"
I've never seen you before in my life.
I didn't know you started drinking so early. We've spoken 3 or 4 times.
What did I say to you?
Just
Hi,
normal
friend.
priest stuff. We drank together
did I
once.
say melon?
We did a shot of that weird alcohol with the
I do shots of alcohol with every
flying snake in it. I can't believe you don't remember the flying snake whiskey.
Oh, I remember it. I don't remember much after it though.
Oh well. Can I?
What do you want? What do you want? Sorry.
This guy didn't take a baby bottle. He literally did like shots of milk. He would just like slam the sippy cup.
Yeah. Well, okay. Are you looking forward to dying?
I would avoid it if possible.
Because you're awfully tight with Weatherin, who does seem very much to be looking forward to dying.
Well, he just is not afraid of death.
And
that's what he told me anyway.
That fellow Malmer, he's got a pretty...
That guy kind of freaks me out. Sorry, that's Poppy. She's not in the game.
Malmer has a pretty dark thing going on, too. It doesn't seem like it's your attitude, exactly.
It's yeah, he's different. He's a special guy.
So you consider death something to be avoided?
Yeah, most of my abilities are avoiding death.
Yeah, so your god enjoys helping you avoid death.
Yeah.
So how would you and your god feel if you knew that this ship was definitely going to be entirely destroyed?
Oh, he told
And
me it is definitely going to be entirely destroyed.
you're not making
Not
this
subtle.
easier for me.
Are you like pitching another god or?
What I'm trying to say
It's like a pokey swap. Show me your god.
is that it might not be necessary for the ship and all hands to perish.
Oh yeah, Pon told me about that too.
So you may be on my side already.
Or you may be on my side. Have
I
you ever
like the-
met? Have you ever talked to Pon?
Is Pan going to save the ship when the time comes?
Pon said that it's possible that with a special book that we may not have to meet the Kraken and all die in the effort.
I don't know about any book.
Well, if you help me find it, I'll show it to you.
That sounds pointless.
Oh.
Listen,
Well, it's the only way out that I know of.
what if I told you that at some point it's very likely that another way out will make itself apparent? I'm not saying anything. I'm not the one who said anything to you.
Wait, you just said, what if I told you this, blah, 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 and then you said, I'm not saying anything.
You might not be very smart. This is my concern.
Oh.
Pretend that I never said anything to you.
Done.
I am asking you whether you
now you're saying things to me?
Do I know you, man?
He rubs his hands in a way that's like evil, but maybe
but only
a little
mildly
frustrated.
ostentatiously. Like it's believable that this is just a compulsive tick and that he's not actually cartoon evil.
The parrot wipes its beak, although it is already clean.
I would like to sort of actively perceive what this guy's deal is.
That's going to be an insight check.
Insight check. I will do that, and I will do it with an additional D4. I say a quick prayer to Pon to assist my insight. And that is a total of 14.
He is trying to sound out your willingness to mutiny. Without saying anything,
to put it
he's
very precisely.
He's trying to do it so that he never actually says, "Hey, let's mutiny." So that if you take him to Captain
he wants plausible deniability.
Captain Gorio, then all he's talked about is saving the ship and how we can save the ship and what if the time comes to save the ship. He never says anything. He doesn't say mutiny.
Persuade him into saying the word mutiny.
I mean, sure, you can make that roll, but also you have to say what your character says to try and affect this.
I've been doing it, man. So we're back at, you have told me that you have not told me anything. You're not saying anything. What are you saying?
I'm not saying anything.
Well, then why are we talking?
Because I'm trying to say something without saying it.
can I count on you to help me find this book?
I don't care about a book.
Well, then I don't care about your not saying anything to me.
Okay. What if I told you
Uh-huh.
that when nothing happens
Nothing
that we
happened
aren't talking about,
that we aren't talking about.
when the nothing happens,
So, like, Atreyu's getting attacked by the nothing?
This man may as well have a Q-tip with some water on it and be writing that on some glass while someone sprays Windex on it. I mean, oh my
Okay.
word.
So, nothing happens that you're not talking about, and what? Sorry.
and we
Sometimes I
can
can be a little flip.
go and hunt for your antique book if you want.
The book is going to help us so that when the nothing happens that we're not talking about, we will not be as unprepared for nothing to not happen.
Oh. Now you're talking my language.
I am glad that I have succeeded at that. I'm not sure what I said though.
I think I understand what you're not saying.
I don't think that I don't not stand.
Now you're getting it. Neither of
Yeah.
us understand. Nobody knows anything.
It's true.
And he turns away, sort of rubbing his hands, and then
Wow. Nope, he compulsively, cartoonishly evil. Okay.
and then as soon as he's like 2 feet away from you, it's like hands in the pockets.
Sounds good.
I wasn't doing anything.
I'm not
I am
sure
just
what
spoiling
just
Rome.
happened.
Clearly, this faction has only recruited the best.
I'm not sure who was recruited to which faction, but you know.
If there's anything else that is going to go on,
Mal is standing there with about 80 pounds of rope on his body in the form of just coils of very, very long rope and about another. He's got about 60 pounds of rope and 20 pounds of tackle.
And Watherin finishes his task and sees Mal and says, "What are you
He's
doing?"
leaning back in his harness.
What are you doing, Mal?
I'm searching for gravy. He's probably, based on my previous search, on the underside of the ship, scurrying around, looking for barnacles to snack on because apparently it's comforting.
Okay, well, good luck. And Watherin goes and does his work.
Oh, so cold.
Watherin,
What's up?
Mal calls after him. Could you do me just a small favor?
What's that?
Could you watch this line, and when I give it a pull, could you pull me up? And Mal points to a pulley system where basically as you pull on it, you'll be pulling him up at like 1/8 of his weight, 1/8 speed. So it'll be something that somebody strong like you, it'll be no problem at all. You can do that for an hour.
Sure. I tell him I actually would be very happy to get somebody for that. I'm working on something for Sarah right now, and I'll get somebody over here to man this rope. And I just motion to some random sailor. Somebody in the group.
Yeah, the sailors do this for each other all the time. It's really unwise to go off the edge of the boat without somebody watching the rope that you're tied to, because people are tying and untying ropes all the time on the deck. So if somebody's life depends on one of the ropes, you assign somebody to watch it.
Yeah.
Mal hands
say, I'm going over the edge. Can you watch this rope for me?
Well, and he points to the tackle and he says, he's got a bell that he's got on the line that when he, gives it a whip, it'll do something. It'll jangle a little bit. He says, when I pull on this, please pull me up. I'm going to be working so many ropes. I can't pull myself up.
The sailor's like, okay.
Okay. All right.
Sounds
so
good.
Mal has a couple of things in a bag that are not particularly stealthily stowed, but you can see a leather satchel, and I don't know how well closed it is, but there's a looking glass and a hunting horn, something that you might use to call like blast, like when a ship sees a squid.
They generally yell out, but I mean,
this is stuff that Mal has in his inventory.
Okay.
So it's his stuff. He's taking it with him, and he goes down to the underside of the ship, and he gets to where the canopy level is, and he keeps lowering himself down, and he keeps going, and he keeps going all the way through to the underside of the canopy. And
this is something that's difficult to do while the ship is in motion, because as the rope gets lower and lower, you have to dodge trees and branches as you go. So the ship is in motion. So if you want to do this, you can, but you're going to have to maybe some acrobatics checks to keep your ropes from getting tangled in trees and stuff.
They probably will at some point.
But you can certainly, I mean, and Mal would know that you can lower yourself beneath the canopy on a rope.
Right.
And there's a few feet. There's like 5 feet or 3 feet at different levels, below the level of the top leaves and before the branches really start. There's just stems to the leaves coming up, and then the branches start to. There's a distinct layer that you can get under the leaves and get a look down there without risking getting tangled up.
Can we say, for the sake of story, that Mal is not as much of an idiot as I am, and that Mal would not have overlooked the glaring fact that the ship is moving at speed, and that Josh
Mal would not have.
Yeah, Mal would not. So can we say, for the sake of story, that like at some point late in the morning, there's this like osmotic change where like the wind and the current shifts over, and you have to like stop the boat for a sec and like full change tack and something like that?
Unfortunately, that's not you're in a sort of narrow strait right now.
Okay.
So you're pretty much just moving along.
Mal will search around until the ship comes to a stop and then lower himself.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, the ship does, as you when you change direction, or sometimes you do have to tack, there's not going to be a long period. It's only going to be, a minute or so.
Whatever.
But the ship is going to come to a brief stop at some point.
All right. When that happens, he's going to drop himself down to the deepest. First, he's going to stick his head down out the canopy and look around. So he's now looking out at the underside of the cloudy sea.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You see what you always see down there. As soon as you get your head below the mist and below the leaves, you start to hear things like little animal motions and the creaking of the branches and stuff.
Okay.
And you can see the intertwining network of barky branches and the trunks of trees.
Okay. Mal lowers himself as quickly and silently as he can. He's cut like a branch or something, and he's got it like tucked up underneath one arm. So there's at least some amount of like branch material, so that if something sees him descending, it'll register in its mind that it's a branch falling. So he's trying to think like a ranger here, even though he's not one. But so he's going to descend and then whip out that spyglass and look around real quick. That's a 19 plus. If it's perception, that's +3. That's a 22 to search with the spyglass.
You can't see very far, and the spyglass doesn't help at all. It just lets you see blank mist up closer.
Oh, because it's just thick mist down underneath right now.
Yeah, the mist is thicker up top, but it's still pretty misty down below.
Okay.
And even with very keen sight, you can't see very far.
Okay.
Inside of the cloudy sea. But you do down there, while you're looking for Tashash, you do feel something interesting. Which is, you get that emotionally, you start to get that sort of hunter sense. Your heart.
He's already been kind of on the edge of feeling that. I think he may have frozen.
Yeah.
So you're right here, frozen in time.
Oh, sorry.
You're talking about the feeling. Your hunter feeling is rising up.
Your sort of hunter feeling is rising up within you, and you feel a pull from the west-southwest.
Okay.
You feel something in that direction that's like calling you, and you think you recognize it.
He turns in that direction and takes that sounding horn and blasts it in that direction.
You do so.
Okay.
Somebody
and then
from the ship calls down, "What?"
And he says, "Pull me up!" And he
pull you
yanks on the rope.
They pull you up.
Okay.
You're back on the ship.
Well, he's gone. I made a very thorough search of it, and I didn't see him anywhere. So I don't know. I mean, he's a competent woodsman, so my only guess is that he's surviving out there somewhere.
There is no announcement, although the sailors are definitely whispering to each other that the mad lizard man has leapt to his death over the side of the boat.
I mean, there's really no telling how it happened. I mean, a tentacle could have come up and just yanked him off the top of the ship. I mean, he could have. I don't think he could have tripped and fallen. That tail thing, I've literally never seen him trip. So I don't know. No.
There are sympathetic hands to pat your shoulder and say, it's the way of the sea. It's a cruel mistress.
And then Mal just starts laughing a little bit, and then more and more. And there's a little bit of a like, that's not normal people laughing. That's like your little okay. And if Watherin hears it, it's definitely going to register in the creepy files for Mal. But and then it dies back down to normal laughter, and he says, "To Gravy, may he find adventure wherever he is off to." And Mal raises a bottle of strong drink, takes a swig, and hands it around to whoever will drink the gravy.
80-proof gravy.
Yeah, 80-proof gravy. There's a chunk of gravy in it.
Finatier is the number one person to take a drink from that.
Finatier finds the wake, and Mal asks Finatier if he wouldn't mind just saying a word for the sailor who has departed. May his path meet ours again. That particular ceremony. And Mal takes off his hat, and he assumes a very religious posture that you're not familiar with him taking before. It doesn't look anything like any of the rituals that he's done to Chernobog.
Well, Pond says that we all go to a great party in the sky, so I hope Gravy's having a good time partying.
Are you going to actually do some kind of religious ritual?
I don't have any.
I mean, not like. No, I don't mean like the silver dust magical religious ritual, but like, are you going to pull out some Pawnite,
Pawnite proverbs,
funeral rites?
Sure, I'll say a few words.
Okay, in that case, make a religion check.
See how well this goes. I say a quick prayer for guidance from Pawn first, because I need all the help I can get. And then I end up with a total of 12. Pawn! Needed more help than that!
Pawn feels very distant. He feels very distant from you, but with like a sort of a very, very attentive ear, you can, because you know him so well, you can catch the edge. You catch the edge of something like a chuckle. As
hey
you
guys,
do the ceremony.
Pond thinks that Gravy is having a good time.
This is comforting.
If he is having a good time, then he is free of the task and toils of this boat. And it seems that he has shed his bond of us.
Just to note,
So now,
Watherin is not participating at all in any of this and is nowhere nearby it. He's just going about his work.
And Mal pulls out a little paper lantern-looking object, and he pats it up in the air 3 times, and then on the third hit, he pats it over the edge of the boat, and it falls away over the side.
This accomplished, you notice that the castle and the island of Nebulaster's Perch is beginning to show itself over the horizon to your northwest.
You know, Pond says where your purse is, there your heart will be. So Nebulaster should be here.
I'm pausing to let you suggest things that you might want to do before the ship reaches this island in the in what looks like it's going to be the early afternoon.
How long from now is that?
A few hours.
Okay.
I was presuming that this toasting and ceremony would take place about lunchtime.
Sure.
In between shifts.
Sure.
When the idlers are about.
Yeah, Waiteren goes about his business, but whenever there's a convenient, say 5 or 10 minutes prior to getting to the island, he's going to put his normal chainmail and stuff on. Right now he's wearing leather armor. It's light, easier to work in.
Good. At last, you approach Nebulaster's Perch. From the sailor's talk or from your own experience, you know that it is a small island shaped like a sharp, narrow triangle pointing west. The cloudy sea abuts the southeast corner for about half a mile, so there's plenty of space for cloud ships to land. The eastern coast is a beach, with waves lapping on the shore, but the other two sides of the island are sheer cliffs that jut out over nothing. There are a few small streams and freshwater ponds, and clumps of trees and bushes with a larger grove or two. If you look out across the waves, when you get there, you'll be able to see a few other small islands in the ocean nearby. As you get closer and closer, you begin to see the castle, which is the main notable feature of the island. And I think what we're going to do here is I'm going to give some description of this island that you're approaching, and then we're going to take our 10-minute break. And then when we come back in, the characters can have landed and approached the island. So, as you come up on it, you see the castle. This is on the northwest end of the island. It is a tall stone ziggurat, basically, with 3 very tall steps. Maybe not a ziggurat, but it's like, imagine a castle that's very wide and of dark black stone, with another castle of gray granite built on top of it. And on top of that is a third castle built out of white marble. And all 3 are tall, but the 3 stacked on top of each other like a wedding cake are extremely tall. Hundreds of feet tall. There are walled-off fields surrounding that structure, which have their own ponds and pools of fresh water. And
pond.
Yes, it has a pier inside of that walled-off area that juts out into the ocean to the northeast, that has a few giant-sized boats.
So you can easily see the boats through the pier. Okay.
So the pier is going into the watery portion?
Yes. So the area taken up by the walled, like, there's the castle itself, and then the castle has some like territory on the island that's walled off. That's like its yard or its town or whatever. And there are fields in there, and part of that extends out into the area that's beachy ocean. And there are piers there. There's although it is frighteningly close to the northern cloud line. Like, it would not be. It's an interesting proposition to launch a ship from this pier very close to the edge of the world. But the giants seem to do it. There are teams of ogres working the grounds beneath the tower, planting things, harvesting things, working, digging.
Suing Napster with their best friend Sting.
Exactly.
True.
Also, in this on the island, there are a number of small Aarakocra cottages that are built in the trees. Each one of those has their own small farm or garden, sort of at the root of the tree. There'll be like one tree with like a tree house / nest built in the top of it, and below that there'll be corn or beans or whatever growing. You can see one very thick plume of smoke rising from one part of the island, although you're not able to tell what it's from. And the thing that the sailors are really talking about, for the average sailor, they don't go into the Nebulaster's perch, the castle itself. They not really allowed in. They don't just open the doors to anyone. But they're excited about the World's End Tavern. And this tavern is just 4 posts with a roof on top, just a wooden roof, no walls. But there is a big boiling distillery set up just under this big roof. And somebody, a lady named Agang, is their elf lady, just basically making booze all the time. The sailors think this is great, but Agang's bar, the World's End Tavern, is the social center of this island, as much as there is any kind of society on this island. Really, she just makes booze and sells it to whoever stops here. It's usually kraken hunting vessels and sailors, but Aarakocra come, giants come sometimes. And also, she's probably the closest thing to an authority on the island itself, being that the giants don't usually leave their castle. Although if one of the giants left the castle proper, they would immediately do whatever they wanted on the island. They're far, far superior to anything else wandering around there.
They're like a 300-pound gorilla.
Much more than 300 pounds. So those are basically the things that I am setting before you. Big old castle, plume of smoke, World's End Tavern, and we're going to go on our break and come back, I guess, 8:55. Will that work?
That works.
We'll be back at 8:55 when the Fujin will land and our sailors will be able to disembark at last on the island of Nebulaster's Perch. Hello and welcome back to the Starfall Collective, episode 9, I think, part 2. The Fujin draws up to the shore and sets an anchor, puts down a gangplank. You may disembark. Notable features of this island include, well, you know what? You guys disembark, and the first thing you notice, because off in the not really in the it's in the middle distance, maybe 100 feet away, is the World's End Tavern, and what you can see is a commotion going on there. From a distance, what you see is a bunch of like white shapes and yelling, sort of circling around.
White shapes. The yelling is circling around, or the shapes are circling
around?
Both.
Do we have any orders? Is this free time?
Shore leave.
Shore leave. Yeah, Waitherin'd like to go over. He's looking to find some Aarakocra.
Goryo also disembarks. And
Finnetir follows.
I'm sorry?
Finnetir follows.
Follows who?
The disembarkators.
Cool. You see Goryo start to head into the island.
That's a tough call.
Away from the tavern?
He doesn't care about this commotion.
Oh.
He has the Dark Elf with him, and 2 of the Dark Elven sailors as well in their cloaks, and the one that's always at his elbow is there yet.
Goryo is the captain of the ship.
He is indeed.
Watherin is going to go look at the likeliest place, maybe the tavern, to find some Aarakocra and see if he can get news or information regarding Air Mountain, Mount Airy. I forgot what it's called. And Air Mountain. And is specifically interested in going to see Nebulaster, but not with Goryo and those swarthy dark elves.
Mal has a bug-out bag on his shoulder, a sword, water skin. He's ready to be on shore for a while without real assurance of the safety of his bivouac. So
yeah, Watherin's taking his normal stuff with him, just to say, leaving his little chest of personal items, but taking with him his prayer book and a couple of key things that he would not leave behind just because they're too personally significant to him.
I guess Finnetir decides to sneak on behind Goryo.
You're going to try and follow Captain Goryo stealthily.
Yeah.
Wow.
A bold move.
Go ahead.
No. An unnoticed move.
this is the equivalent of a young man coming home from a party and pouring himself a bowl of cereal and beginning to eat it only to turn and look and find his parents staring at him. Why he is sneaking around, we'll never know.
Why don't you roll up that stealth check for me?
Okay, I say a quick prayer to Pawn. Get that extra juice.
There are other sailors around, by the way.
That's fine. And I get a total of 24. It's an unnatural. 17 plus 3 for stealth, plus 4 for Pawn.
A stealth check of 24 allows you to follow as far as you can tell without being seen very effectively.
Nice.
You are following Captain Goryo.
Pawn is guiding me very well.
So what happens is that he goes a little ways into the middle of the island, but you see that he is not going towards the castle. He actually makes his way to one of the pools, and he looks at first one pool, he examines it carefully, and then he speaks in. You don't wouldn't happen to speak Undercommon?
Is that deep speech?
Man, I feel like if you speak deep speech, you should speak Undercommon too.
Are you
Isn't
asking all of
Undercommon
us,
like
or are
a
you just
debased
asking
form
Dwight?
of deep speech?
I couldn't. Two people were talking at the same
Sorry about
time.
that.
I speak High Elf Common, High Elf Deep Speech, and High Elf Elvish. High Elf comes up as a like sub.
Oh man. Okay. Yeah.
And I don't have to be able to hear them. I can read their lips.
Okay. Yeah. You hear him. Goryo's asking in. I think. I mean. I think that if you. I think that deep speech is like the high tongue of the Underdark, and Undercommon is the sort of debased merchant tongue of that is a form of that. So I think like you can understand what he's saying. It sounds like he's sort of speaking caveman, but you're aware that this form of speech is used by people who are going between the Underdark and the top side. How did you ever get to learn the deep speech?
I don't know, man.
It's cool.
Pick things up here and there.
Yeah,
You
must
don't
have
know
had
what kinds of parties he goes to.
My
Yeah, he goes-
background is criminal spy, so
Oh, that explains it. You have a dark past.
For whatever it's worth, in case it comes into play, Watherin also speaks deep speech and Undercommon.
That means that Dwight just became Shepherd Book Lebowski.
Mm-hmm. Don't make me take my hair down.
He asks. Goryo asks, "Is this the right pool? Is this the place?"
Uh-huh.
And the dark elf leader looks around, says, "No, let's move on," and they go on to another pool. When they get to that pool, they say they do the same thing. They look around, and they agree that this is in fact the pool that they're seeking. And then they hunch down and start like burning some incense
Uh-huh.
and doing like a little ritual.
Do I recognize it?
You do not recognize the ritual, but what happens is that a green hag, this is like a sort of horrendous looking spirit in the shape of an old lady, green and dripping with seaweed, all tangled up in her hair.
An old elf lady?
No,
Hag.
not
Hag as a race?
not any particular humanoid species. A species of her own, humanoid shaped, but twisted, gnarled, ugly features, dirty, filthy with slime. She rises up out of the water and sees who's there and waves her hands and suddenly becomes a young elfin woman with like, you know, a nice green dress and a ponytail.
Did
and
she notice me?
Cute ears. Let's find out.
Pointy
I
ears.
think that you I mean, you'll have to tell me if you want to get close enough to this to really get all the info. You're going to have to make another stealth check. You're right now at a distance where you can sort of see and maybe hear regular speech, but you're not super close.
I don't need to hear. I only need to see lips.
Hmm.
That's like my. I'm looking for the. I took thingamahoppers called something that gave me that ability.
That's awesome. That means
Observant. I am observant. I can
Yeah.
see a creature's mouth while it is speaking a language I understand. I can interpret what it's saying by reading its lips.
that absolutely pays off now. This is when it pays off.
That's why I took it.
Goryo and these dark elves go up to the hag, and let me think for like 1 minute. Okay. Goryo says, "Have you news from the mistress?" And the hag says, in her nice little elven voice, "I and the mistress are very close. I have been doing her bidding. I have been going here and there throughout the cloudy sea, looking, seeking. And I tell you, at this moment, right now, the great king of the cloudy sea, Enma, is currently hiding deep, deep in the depths. Your ship may not be equipped. It may be necessary to lure Enma out. We are working on a plan which will allow us to bring the great king out of his lair so that you may hunt him as you wish and as our mistress wishes. But it is not in place yet. For now, I will speak with you later and give you more details of what the plan is." And he says, "Tell me, the one on board my ship, the hunter, Malmer, is he one of us? Is he too a servant of the mistress?" And she smiles. And in her girlish giggle, you hear a dark undertone of hag-like cackling.
Yeah.
And I mean, you don't hear it. I guess you see a hag-like cackle touch her features briefly as she speaks.
Gotcha.
And she says, "He is not sworn to our mistress, but he is sworn to one allied with our mistress, and I think he will help you." And he says, "The other gods, they are reaching their meddling fingers into my ship. Tell me, what would the mistress have me do?" And she says, "That is exactly what the mistress wants. Keep your enemies close." And she goes up to him and reaches out her hand, and she hands him something. You don't see what it is, but when his hand touches hers briefly, he like pulls back as though he's just touched something disgusting.
But does he look like he took it?
Oh, he took the thing.
Okay. Oh,
Puts
but
it
when he
into
brushes her hand,
Yeah. He puts it
not
into
the
an inner
thing, but her.
pocket. It's not the
Okay.
thing but her. And she sinks back into the pond. That's when the captain turns around and says to the head dark elf, I tell you, sometimes I think it would be best, he's continuing in the deep speech, I think it would be best to put that paladin off the ship. But if the mistress says to keep our enemies close, I will obey. For in the mistress is my vengeance. We're going to cut away from that scene because he leaves the pond. And the others of you, Weatherin and Mal, there's a commotion going on. There are some white shapes flapping and flying around, all around this tavern.
Mal would like to kind of re-shoulder his pack and loosen his saber and take a couple of steps in that direction.
And Watherin is also headed that way.
Can I make a survival check or a perception check, something with wisdom or intelligence?
What are you trying to do?
Actually, you know what? I would like to make a best faith effort to kind of hug some sort of wall or use any kind of cover available to me and just get close without being seen easily, but look casual about it. Just look for whatever can block me from field of view as I get close.
That's going to be a stealth roll.
Okay.
Weatherin, you see your companion Malmer beginning to approach the commotion in a stealthy manner.
Watherin just walks straight up.
Yeah, it wasn't a
what's your
particularly
stealth roll?
competently stealthy manner, so
What was the roll?
9.
9. Let me just look at something real quick. Okay. What you see as you approach the structure is out behind on the grass to one side. So the first thing you see, these big cauldrons, like closed top cauldrons, like with piping and fires underneath, and two of them are lit and like going right now, and one of them, is I guess not. And there are barrels and bottles all over the place, and there's a huge pile of stuff off to the right-hand side in the back, just a mound of like maybe not garbage, but sort of garbage. And off to the left side behind the bar, there are two enormous hill giants, just not as big as the stone giant that you encountered before, but just huge brutes. And they are a man and a lady hill giant. And they're just lying on their backs, fast asleep. They seem to be unconscious, just snoring. And the tavern keeper, what is her name? I said her name before. Let me find where we are here. Here we go. The tavern keeper Agang is there, and she is like swatting at what you can see now are geese, very large geese, with gnomes in armor on them, and they have like weapons and lances, and they're flying around, and she is yelling at them, She's yelling, hey, stop it. Cut it out. If you wake up those hill giants, we'll all get eaten. Cut out the commotion. I'll serve you. It's fine. Just quiet down. And they're yelling, Goose Knights ride. They're yelling. They're like singing and shouting, ride, and Goose Knights, and making a ruckus, and they're snatching bottles up and starting to like drink, and they're like overturning buckets of half-finished liquor over their heads, and just making a big commotion.
Mal turns and looks at Watherin and says, well, friend, it looks like the only safe way forward is an overwhelming onslaught of force to quell that sound before those giants wake up. Do you have a better plan of attack?
I don't think anybody needs to be attacked at all. Those are just some hooligans getting rowdy at a bar.
And if they wake up those hill giants, we've got a huge problem.
Somebody may have a huge problem, but we can deal with it when we deal with it. No reason to kill people early.
All we had to do was kill a few geese. All right. Sure. No, let's save the geese. Sure. Fine. I won't kill a goose. And he turns and he looks at the goose, which is less than 300 feet away from him. And he just looks at the exposed vital organs and just contemplates an eldritch spear and how much of that goose's vital essence would be blown away by that initial blast.
Let's see. Okay, I was looking at my skills and trying to understand the thing. Cool. Watherin, how close are we? A couple hundred feet away?
No, you were a couple hundred feet away, but now you're like within 30 feet or so to see it in this much detail. You've come that close.
Okay. Watherin says, not too loudly, but, enough for the Goose Knights to hear, and...
Mal jumps back and stands behind Watherin's shoulder and off to the side.
So trying not to wake up the hill giants, but enough to hear for the Goose Knights to hear. And Watherin says, "Hey, Goose Knights, how's it going?"
The Goose Knights, a couple of them cease from their rowdiness and look towards you.
Good.
They say, "We're on land, and we're having a wake. This is great."
A wake for who?
Hold on. Oh yeah. Our buddy Cletus got shot right out the sky. Drinking to his everlasting memory.
I'm sorry to hear that. I think y'all should definitely do that, but the hill giants there, if you keep it up loud, apparently you're going to have the rest of you are going to need a wake as well.
Is this going to be you're trying to persuade them?
Sure. I'm game
Good
to try
cop.
to persuade them.
Good cop.
You may make a persuasion check.
All right. Oh, Oberon, what do you have for me here?
Don't you wish you had Pond to help you?
A 22.
I guess not.
A 22 persuasion check is quite good.
I got an 18 with +4 persuasion.
Those two look at you, and then they look over, and they appear to notice that the hill giants, for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
and they say to the others, "Hey, I think maybe she's serious about those hill giants. Look, they're right over there."
And I say, Watherin says, "Listen, guys, a round of drinks on me for your fallen friend. Let's keep those hill giants asleep, but I'll buy you each a round. I'll buy you each a drink."
And it is then that the two who are looking around and noticing things now spot Malmer, and they say, guys, it's that fella. That's the one that killed Cletus. And suddenly, they are all
Oh, Cletus is that wizard.
silent, and their geese spring up into the sky, and they begin circling. And
Oh,
you
Cletus
guys
is the
all roll
goose.
initiative.
That sounds good. Watherin says, Malmer, you might want to get back to the ship fast.
Can they make that entire? Okay, all right. Cinematic.
And my initiative roll is a 16.
My initiative roll is a 15. Is a 14.
Wait,
A 14?
14.
you have a -1 initiative.
No, I was wrong about my initiative.
Oh.
By 1.
Off by 1 always gets me.
What happens is that 4 of them peel off from the others and come diving around at you in a long swooping line in a row. And I need you to tell me how.
Who?
These attacks are directed against Malmer.
Sure.
A 4 and a 5 and a 11 and a.
You guys should get in a different business.
13. Do any of those hit?
None of them do.
So these 4 geese, they just go tonk 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 tonk, and they fly right past you.
Yeah, Mal is a master bladesman, so Mal would be parrying most of these. They're not even getting close to his threat.
You're turning their lances as they come at you with your weapon. As they're coming, no, actually, you know what? They can't talk to you because they're taking their bonus actions to disengage. They have a special thing.
So I don't get a attack of opportunity on.
You don't get any attacks of opportunity. They're disengaging as they leave you and flying back up into the sky.
Okay. So not even something like reach would mitigate that?
No.
Okay.
Weatherin, it is your turn.
I say, hey Mal, do me a favor, don't kill him. Scare him off if you want, but just use me to block you from them, and you won't get hit. Deal? And then
I'll go back to back if I need you. And Mal is suddenly buzzing, and he buzzes apart into multiple shapes of himself, and he kind of like splits apart, and it's a little bit weird. It's not like normal. It's got like weird, creepy purple goo stuff.
Okay, you do that in a minute when it's your turn.
Oh, I thought it was my turn next or soon.
It's Weatherin's turn.
No.
And
It is soon,
Sorry, go ahead.
but it's Weatherin's turn.
So Watherin just says that to Mal. Who knows what will happen?
Okay.
But he also casts Shield of Faith on himself. Watherin does on himself, and positions himself defensively to simply block anything from hurting Mal, but not to attack.
Okay. Jebediah, who is one of the Goose Knights, as he comes down towards Malmer, he has to make an extra sort of turn to get around you, Weatherin.
Yep.
And as he's doing that, he is saying to you, Paladin, don't fight us. Don't fight us. We ain't gonna kill him. Just gotta teach him some manners. We ain't gonna kill him. Don't fight us.
And
then
can I respond in that just for a moment, or do I have to wait till next? Okay. And I say, I'm more worried that he's going to kill some of you.
And he is able to attack you for 6 at a. He's not able to hit you, Malmer. And this time you are going to get an attack of opportunity because he's not able to take the disengage action before he flies off. So he turns to fly away, and you get a chance to make a physical attack against him if you want.
I do.
Go
Mal?
for it.
Yes, Mal.
Okay. Sorry. Mal is going to.
It's not your turn yet.
You just said I could do something.
This is your attack of opportunity.
Oh, I can do it. That's it. Sorry. Okay, I've got my blade and I attack. Sorry. I thought I could use a bonus action during that, but no. Yeah, sorry. That is a 15 plus at least 4. I think there's more to it. So is a 19 enough?
Yes, a 19 hits.
Okay, so.
What are you attacking with?
My packed blade.
Cool.
So I get to use charisma to wield it. So that's 8 plus. Yeah, so 8 plus 5 is 13.
Yep. You strike this goose knight in the back, and he flies off. He seems to be grievously wounded, and he starts hollering. He hit me. He's a cruel one. What are we gonna do?
He's a cruel one. He just tried to attack me.
Now it is your turn, Mal.
Okay. Mal is going to shoot the goose of the wounded guy and hopefully kill that goose. He's going to do an Eldritch Blast at it. Will a 13 hit it?
13's not going to hit it. Eldritch Blast goes by him. He zooms back up into the air.
In that case, he is going to use his bonus action to place a... No, he's not going to do that. No. Okay. He's going to step behind. He's going to use his remaining movement to step behind Watherin when he sees that he's got this shield of faith, and he realizes it'd be insane not to use Watherin as cover. So
Watherin, you can probably tell by looking, Watherin is extremely difficult to hurt right now.
Yeah. So he's going to basically hide behind Watherin and use Watherin as cover.
Cool. They are circling above you. They're able to come at you from basically any angle.
Watherin also has a shield, a literal shield too, not just a shield of faith.
All right. If I look around, so you're telling me that Mal would not make that tactical of a level of foolish mistake to just walk over to Watherin and then just get hit like it's nothing.
I say, Mal, go into the tavern.
Yeah.
It's a covered area.
Sure. I'll go into the door frame of the tavern
so
that I can fire over his shoulder and Watherin can stand in the door frame.
It's just a roof, no doors or walls.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
I'll do that. But that roof will mean that you can close off certain angles of attack.
Sure, I'll do that then. I'll get underneath the roof.
I think between Mal and the roof. Between Watherin and the roof, you can get, I'll say, 1/4 cover.
Right.
So because they can come at you from 3 sides.
Who's the biggest, baddest one? Can I clearly see which one is the leader?
There are two that are the leader.
Okay. In that case, I'll just pick one of them. Can you give me any 2 quickly defining characteristics of the 2 of them?
Yeah. The one has some big mustaches, big white mustaches, and where is the other one? Oh, and the other one has like a long white ponytail out the back.
Sure. He'll pick ponytail and he'll shoot. He'll hex. So he's going to use a.
What action do you use to do that?
Yeah, I use a bonus action to cast my Hex spell. As a warlock, this allows me to do an extra d6 of necrotic damage, and he is going to be at disadvantage on all. I guess he's going to fly with dexterity, so I'm going to say dexterity-based checks.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, in their formation, you can hear that one shouting, "He done something to me. Put some kind of crazy curse on me. Boys, you got to get him." And
I'm not sure that they know. It doesn't say
know?
anything about their perception of it. They don't get to like make a perception check to notice it. It's just on them.
Cool.
And it doesn't say anything about
doesn't have
knowing.
any visible or any
to me
visible
it does. Like I can see something, but yeah, they can't. It's not external.
Maybe they can. It doesn't say either way, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
I guess I could.
Does the spell description give a visible thing that happens when you do this?
No, it doesn't say. It doesn't say anything about what is visible on the target.
Then in that case, yeah, there's nothing visible that would give an indication that this happened. So he doesn't say that. Okay. He's just flying around with the others. The next thing that happens is, yeah. Here's another one coming at you. They are rolling really poorly. How is 5?
No.
And that one disengages and flies back up. 12.
No.
Disengages and flies back up. That's a failure too. And finally, the one with the ponytail comes down at you, and she really aims her lance in at you, and she gets a 17. How's that against your armor class?
No.
Not enough. She you're able
to
point
dents into my shield that slams into my breastplate.
And as she disengages from you, and actually no, instead of disengaging, she says she's going to say something, so you get an opportunity attack against her.
Okay. Yeah. Then he's gonna swing. Is this Ponytail?
This is Ponytail.
Oh, okay. Well, that's already a 16, but yeah, whatever. Do you have advantage? Well, whatever. Yeah. So that's at least 22 to hit her. Does that hit?
Yep.
Okay. In that case, 6 points of damage plus, if this is Ponytail, she takes another d6, so that's 11. Yeah.
She flies back up, and she says, as she's flying back up, she says, "Boys, I don't think this is worth it. I love Cletus as much as you, but I think it's not worth it going up against these guys. I think we got to get out of here." As they go, they each fly past one of the sleeping hill giants and throw something at it. And the hill giants get pelted with trash and debris, and one of them gets poked by a lance, and they begin to wake up. And the female one sits up and moves her hands, and they say, hungry. I'm hungry. And they look around, and by this time, the Goose Knights are off away from you, and these hill giants each of them. Where did I write down how tall they are?
About 10 to 12 feet.
Yeah. They're each like 10 or 12 feet tall. They get up and they say, "Oh, good." Actually, Weatherin, you're the one who understands this because you speak giant.
Yeah.
They say, "Oh, good. They brought the food that they promised." And heft their clubs.
So
And
that's them entering initiative. Are we still going in initiative?
what's going to happen is that first, Agang is going to make a check because she grabs up a really big barrel. She says, "Paladin, help me with this. Help me with this, Paladin. Grab this barrel. We're gonna give them booze. They'll take the booze instead."
Weathering helps.
And you grab the other side of this barrel,
Mm-hmm.
and the two of you start going over there with the barrel. And she's saying, "Don't you want more liquor? Don't you want more booze? It's nice booze. You've been drinking the booze for days." And I say, "No, I'm hungry. That's enough booze. I've got a headache." Oh, and she says, "You great stupid lummoxes, why would I give you my alcohol anyway?" If one of you wants to say something, you could take this chance to make a persuasion check if you speak giant.
Well, hang on. Before, it seems like a lot of time has gone by, but from the last time Mal had an action, he was waiting for his turn, and they'd be about 120 feet away, I presume.
Oh, yeah, so sure. You can take a couple shots at the if you want.
He's literally got 2 good shots in him. Possibly 3 if something slowed them down. But that's a natural 20 on an Eldritch Blast, and the other one is a 13. These are to hit the geese.
Okay. Who are you shooting at?
I think a 13 does not hit a goose, we said, right? They're like 14 or more or something. I don't know. Anyway, the Eldritch Blast is going to do double damage.
Which goose are you shooting at? They have different armor classes.
The one that poked the giant in the nose. The goose of that gnome.
Okay.
So I rolled a 10 for the first one and a 5 for the next. So that's 15 points plus a d6. 16, 17. So he's going to take, that goose is going to take 17 points of damage and is going to be blown like a cannon shot 10 feet out from underneath that guy. So he's going to make a check with disadvantage to stay mounted because he is cursed.
Oh, are you shooting at the one that you cursed?
Ponytail.
Yes.
Ponytail is not the one who poked the giant.
Oh, no. Well, Ponytail can pay for the sins of his gang because I want this to work.
Okay. How much damage is it?
17 points of damage to the goose, and he's going to make a disadvantaged riding check or something, some kind of dexterity-based check I think we talked about. Unless you just want to say that the goose suddenly and violently moving 10 feet away is just more than he can.
The goose cannot cooperate to try and keep its rider on, having been killed. And so...
So the body goes flying 10 feet. Okay.
Yeah, the body of the goose goes flying 10 feet, and the rider...
I want the Randy Johnson, feather effect.
Yeah, there's definitely that.
Okay,
is this good. And this is Ponytail's goose.
This is Ponytail's goose.
Okay.
That Mal has just done this to.
They're about 60 feet away at this point from you.
Mal's going to run at Ponytail.
All right, and she is going to take some damage when she falls. Let's see what that is. Ouch. Brutal. And at this stage, it is about time for us to wrap it up for the evening. But I want to real quick narrate because it's going to be 2 weeks before we pick up in the middle of this action sequence. So I want to make sure we have exactly what's going on described verbally so that I can describe it again when we pick up next episode. Okay. So right now at the bar, there are and how far can you're going to take the dash action to go after Ponytail?
Yes.
How many feet will that carry you?
Well, I'm gonna use the dash action. I'm using my move action,
right,
to move towards the guy. So that's 30 feet, right? I've already used my spell when I fired at him, presumably.
Yep. So they were flying to the northeast. So Mal, you are 30 feet northeast of the bar, and the fallen Goose Knight is 40 feet northeast of you. So the 60 feet that you shot plus 10 feet for getting pushed by your spell. Let me put her name down. The other Goose Knights are still in the air around her, a few ahead and a few behind.